It began with a single port in Djibouti, a sliver of coastline that few outside the region paid any attention to. But today, it's no longer just a port, it's the first official Chinese overseas military base, and it's just the beginning. Why is China suddenly so interested in building bases across Africa? What's the real agenda? And who should be worried? Because this is more than just diplomacy. It's the quiet rise of a global strategy that could shift the balance of power on multiple continents. Let's unpack the play. In 2017, the People's Liberation Army Navy raised its red flag over a newly constructed base in Djibouti, strategically located at the entrance of the Red Sea, a vital choke point for international trade and military movement. It marked China's first official military foothold outside its borders. This move sent quiet shockwaves through military briefings around the world. For years, China had been expanding its influence in Africa through massive infrastructure projects. Railways, roads, and ports under the Belt and Road Initiative, BRI. But a military base? That changed the game. It signaled that China was no longer content to play the role of builder. It was becoming a guardian of its own empire overseas. China's involvement in Africa isn't new. What's changed is how it's defending that investment. Here's what's at stake. Over $155 billion in Chinese loans to African countries. Resource extraction deals in oil, copper, cobalt, and rare earths. A growing Chinese diaspora and commercial presence in major cities across the continent. That's a lot to protect. So it's no surprise that China is reportedly eyeing more military footholds in countries like Equatorial Guinea, Tanzania, and even Namibia. But wait, why bases? Because military bases offer more than protection. They offer projection, the ability to send a message or a missile. Imagine you're a US Navy commander planning a mission in the Indian Ocean, and suddenly Chinese surveillance drones are lifting off from a base in East Africa. Feels a bit crowded, doesn't it? Let's be clear, this is about more than protecting shipping routes. It's about positioning China to act, respond, or intervene without asking permission. This hasn't gone unnoticed by Western powers. The United States maintains its own base in Djibouti, just a few miles from China's. The two countries' militaries now stare at each other across a narrow road. But here's the kicker. While the West often uses military presence to deter threats, China uses it to secure partnerships. Its bases are often tied to economic deals, loan forgiveness, or construction packages. The US warns African nations about debt traps, but many governments see Chinese involvement as faster, cheaper, and less politically complicated than Western aid. Meanwhile, France, the UK, and even India are quietly stepping up their military diplomacy on the continent, visiting ports, signing new defense agreements, and upgrading facilities. But are they too late? Here's where things get murky. Many of China's new installations aren't officially labeled as military. They're commercial ports. But scratch the surface, and you'll find military-grade runways, hardened structures, and radar installations. These are dual-use ports, designed to be civilian on paper, but military capable by design. One such example is in Bagamoyo, Tanzania, a mega-project port backed by Chinese investment that could theoretically support naval operations in the Indian Ocean. What does this mean? It means China doesn't need to declare a base to build one. It can deploy rapidly, turn a commercial pier into a military dock overnight. And here's the twist. What if some of these ports aren't just about Africa, but about flanking the US from new directions? Let's zoom out. Africa is just one theater in a much bigger geopolitical play. China's naval strategy, often called the String of Pearls, aims to create a network of overseas logistics points stretching from East Asia to the Middle East to Africa. The goal? To break out of US containment, secure its energy lifelines, and project force across the world's oceans. And Africa, with its resource wealth, political volatility, and need for infrastructure, is the perfect place to plant flags. This isn't colonization, it's strategic entanglement. The more China builds, the more African states become economically and diplomatically aligned with Beijing. So, why is China building so many bases in Africa? Because it's not just about today, it's about tomorrow's battle spaces, tomorrow's allies, in tomorrow's front lines. Africa is no longer a passive observer of great power competition. It's the new arena. And China? It's already drawing up the map. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, because the next conflict may not be where you expect.